Welcome back to another pop-up episode of Coffee with Bob. Thanks for joining us. Let's dive into it. You can always find new episodes of Coffee with Bob on our YouTube channel. Search Hapanowitz and Associates YouTube. And we're really excited to bring this topic to you today, next generation coaching. It's a really important aspect, I think, of what we do. Is it, by any means, one of our main focuses day to day? Absolutely not. But, we work with a lot of multi-generational families. And so next generation coaching, legacy planning is such an important aspect of what we do. So when we say next generation coaching, Bob, why don't you explain, what next generation coaching means to us?
Yeah. So, to everybody, every family, they're going to interpret it a little differently. But we work with financially successful families, individuals, businesses, and the vast majority of those families want to leave a legacy to the next generation. They want life. They want a head start for their children and grandchildren to be maybe better than their head start. And so, there's a certain amount of stewardship that is involved here that I, as a parent, would like my children to have. And I think that my parents wanted me to be good stewards of the resources that they passed on to me, whether it was buying my first computer for me or whatever it might be. But the whole concept is stewardship, and the opposite of that would be spendthrift. So we don't want spendthrifts, right? We want people that are, families generally want people who are going to sustain the legacy that they've built.
Yeah, it's so true. And legacy is such an important word to us. And a lot of the time when people think legacy and leaving a legacy, they think of multimillionaires or billionaires who have a lot of money to donate to a university maybe and have a building named after them. But, if there's one thing I've learned from being in this business is that everybody has a legacy to leave. And a legacy is not always about simply the dollar amount on a report. It's also mindset and attitude. And that is as much of next generation coaching as teaching somebody the right savings tools and the right savings mindset and attitude. So again, just such a really important aspect. And, it's not just about someone's kids. It can be their grandkids too, right?
Yeah, it could be a neighbor. It could be, cousin, a nephew, whoever it might be. So so the whole concept is, life is certainly easier if you have resources and you manage those resources well. You live within your means, of course, and you have a game plan. Everybody has a game plan, whether they've articulated it on a piece of paper or whether they're thinking about it in the back of their mind.
Right.
So the concept with next generation coaching is to help that next generation have the right principles and have the right foundation so that they make good decisions.
Absolutely.
Ultimately, that's how America works. People can make their own decisions, and we want to help people make good informed decisions.
Absolutely. And another aspect of it too is a lot of the time people don't understand how a 401k works, which is by far the most popular tool for long-term savings for an individual. So, it can be talking to someone about how a 401k works, the importance of saving an emergency fund. It can be teaching younger individuals how the stock market works and helping them, get their feet wet a little bit and getting them comfortable in that realm of personal finance, of personal investing, because that first step is having the conversation.
Yeah, right? And this stuff isn't taught in high school. It's not taught in grade school. I don't recall any,
it wasn't for me.
Chris or Bobby's learning how to balance a check, even balancing a checkbook. It just doesn't happen in school. And so those are things that are learned outside of school. And the power of compounding, how to grow, how to meet your goals, how to have a goal, how to get there. Ultimately, The way America works, the American dream is to get, instead of working for money, you get your money to work for you, right? And that's ultimately what we want to help folks coach that next generation.
Right, for sure. And, you just mentioned something, the power of compounding, which I think it was Albert Einstein who referred to compound interest as the eighth wonder of the world.
It is.
And it works like magic, right? But I think a lot of the time, my generation and younger generations, if they're not making the kind of money that they want to be making, it's a barrier to them starting to save. And a main message that we like to get across to next generation clients or, anybody we're talking to is just the habit of saving can be one of the biggest obstacles and the first step to get through. Even if you're just saving $5 a week, it's starting that habit so that when you do start to make more money, it's just second nature for you to, maybe save a little more and a little more, or maybe, you just need to get over that hump of, taking some money that you would want to spend on a Starbucks and putting it into a longer term savings account. And when you can start that habit, then you get used to giving up reward right now for reward down the road, and you're open to saving more and more. It's a process. It's not meant to be, you flip a switch and all of a sudden you are this financially savvy person. That's why we call it next generation coaching. When you take on a coach, when you do the work, it takes time, it takes effort, it takes a lot of back and forth.
Sure.
It takes someone holding you accountable.
You're forming new habits, and there are some check marks and benchmarks along the way that you can look at and point to, and you want to measure. And you were talking about a few minutes ago about saving $5 a week. Well, if you save and all of a sudden you have your 401k now has some money in it, you get excited about that. So what do you do when you get excited? Do you buy a boat with it, or do you want to make that money continue to grow? So everybody gets to make those informed decisions along the way, but we want to help people recognize what those benchmarks and what those check marks are, and therefore they can build some good habits on their own.
Absolutely. So, a lot of questions we get when it comes to next generation coaching is, how do you even get started? And honestly, it can look so different from one family to another. It can be, within your own family, and that's as far as it goes. Or, why don't you talk about the different options that parents and families have to, have those conversations?
Yeah, for families, it usually starts at the dinner table, right? That's what you talk about those things when you're having dinner. If it's, I don't know if people have traditional dinners every night anymore like they used to, but maybe it's Sunday dinner, or that, one or two dinners a week, or however families do it nowadays. Everybody's, just going in so many different directions. But it's making time. It's up to it's really up to that family unit to decide that we're going to have some things to talk about, and these are going to be important, and just shaving out a few minutes of time, whether it's weekly or whatever, to talk about those things.
Yeah.
And everybody does it differently, but the point is, have those conversations. And then, for families that want to take it a step further, they can engage us. And we certainly have representatives from every generation here that can speak the language and help coach along the way and provide the tools for this next generation and other generations to be successful in their game plans.
Absolutely. And, it goes beyond trying to coach that next generation about, maybe how to think about money or how to handle money, but also, making them aware, at least at a higher level, of what your game plan is. Not just in the immediate future, but the long-term future as well. If you're, including them in those conversations, it doesn't mean you have to, share every detail of your wealth.
The balance sheet.
No, you don't. You don't. But especially if someone is listed as a power of attorney, whether it's a financial or healthcare power of attorney, or someone is chosen to be the executor of your estate, those conversations are,
important.
Only good can come from them.
Right.
They're the most fun conversations.
Yeah. And that's where, I think if you've named a child or a loved one as your executor or beneficiary, you probably want to introduce them to that advisor, to the attorney, or to us, the investment advisor, the CPA. And that way that connection is made.
Absolutely.
And there's not a cold sort of harsh thing that occurs at some point.
Absolutely. Because when assets transfer from one generation to the next, there's enough going on. There is so much work to be done, a lot of moving parts. The last thing that people want to have to worry about is getting acquainted with the team that's helping them execute that transition. So, it's not the most fun meeting to have. It's not the most fun conversations to have, but every time we've helped those conversations be had, only positive things have come from those meetings.
It's reality. Yeah. And planning actually it can be a good thing because there's a sense of unity as you talk about these things. It doesn't mean anything's imminent, but there's the unity and the camaraderie, so to speak, and building a family unit.
That's very true. It's really true. So if you guys watching have any questions about maybe how to get started on next generation talks, or with your kids, your grandkids, anybody really, or if you want to get an opinion on, here's what we've done so far, but is there something we're missing? Reach out to your advisor, reach out to us. We're happy to help. Reach out to your attorney. Your team of advisors is there to help facilitate those conversations because they've done it before and they've seen it before. Right. Only good things can come from it. Thank you so much for watching. We're really happy to bring this topic to you guys. It's an important one, and stay tuned for more episodes. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.